All right. Hey, everybody. Here's the thing that keeps most business owners from reaching their true potential. Clinicians hear a lot about building 7 revenue streams as the magical number and then start being squirrel brained and have all these focuses and get nowhere. So today we're going to talk about singularity of focus and the path to building a team and what your role becomes as you build that team, because you will still have to lead the team. Clinic ownership doesn't just magically become a passive revenue stream. Money flows where attention goes.
100%, right? And like when a lot of people start off in business, they start off as a side hustle, and it prevents their growth, right? Like we see it all the time. And sometimes people have to get into that just to be able to get in. Like that's their entry point. It's like they have to work a job, they have to have a business. But the people that start their business and have two things going on grow a lot slower. It's just math, right? Start off as a side hustle, you have minimal time, minimal attention to focus on it. It means that you're gonna have slower growth up front, spread out over a longer period of time. The people that go all in have faster results because they have more time to make it work, right, throughout the day, but also there's a lot of pressure to make it work, so they tend to work a lot harder
It
to
takes
make
as
it work.
long as you give yourself. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're good, man. That's what Parkinson's law. Like things take as long as you give yourself. It's like the people in grad school that are like, you have a project due in 3 months, and then everybody waits till the last minute to do it. Right. So let's keep going here. Right. So like just my own personal experience with split attention. When I first started the business, my business, Caitlin's had 2 cash practices. When I first started Move Athletics, which Caitlin later became a partner in, I quit my job. I went all in. I gave 3 weeks notice and was like, I'm going to figure this out. Right. And as a result, within a couple of months, I was making 10 grand. With a few months down the road, we were making 20 grand a month from there. And then, somewhere along the line, I started working as a business consultant for another company for several years. And that drastically bottlenecked my personal business's growth, right? When things were going really great on the consulting side, it's because I put a lot of time and attention there. But what do you think happened to the business, right? Like the growth slowed down significantly. And then when I put more attention and time into my own business, what do you think happened to the consulting? That suffered on that end, right? And no matter how much time I put in or how hard I worked, like one always suffered, right? Even when Caitlin was there as a partner in the business, like the attention was split and it negatively affected the business's growth potential, right? Even having a partner. So like two owners of a single business, like singularity of focus is still essential if you want to grow your business. Like it's a responsibility of being a business owner.
Yeah. And just attention alone, like just being present and attention won't grow your business. Like you have to put in the focus. You have to be a business owner and capitalize on the strategies that are working and continuously trim and pivot. It's not passive attention. Like anybody who's an entrepreneur knows that it takes all of their attention, and it takes more than just like sitting in the passenger seat to grow your business. It doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we made the decision to discontinue growing our in-person cash practice as the Performance Rehab Authority grew, right? Like we found ourselves again without singularity of focus, which means that neither business is going to run the way that it should.
Yeah, and that's not fair to either business. Like it's not fair to the clients in the practice. It's not fair to the Performance Rehab Authority. Like we wouldn't have been able to give the team or the clients on either side the 100% focus and the attention that they deserve, which isn't fair to the team on either side. It's not fair to the clients on either side. So we made the decision pretty recently to put 100% of our focus on the Performance Rehab Authority, because for anybody who has ever owned a business, like it's not always just about like working more or working harder. Like we were working harder. We were working 16 to 18 plus hours a day, 7 days a week for a year to try to keep both businesses running and growing.
That's like on the conservative end.
Yeah. Like literally 7 days a week, 16 to 18 hours a day.
Yeah, there's plenty of days where we were doing 20, 21-hour days, like hardly sleeping to do the thing, right? And there's just like a big misconception around what it means to like have a team running things. Like you still have to be highly involved or the business is going to flatline or even just start to decline, right? Like I took a year away from, mostly away from the clinic and spent time just traveling all over the place, which was an awesome year. right? I would just meet with the team occasionally. I'd check in, and guess what happened, right? Like the business didn't grow at all that year. Like our profits and revenue actually went down a little bit that year. And that's when I learned just how important like it is, or just how really important it is that I be highly involved, and just how involved I needed to be, right? Even though I wasn't treating patients at all. In like the following year, right, I made myself busy with meeting and leading and providing structure. And although I still wasn't treating patients, like guess what happened in business? We took off again.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that, like, even if you have a team and you can step back from the day-to-day operations, realize that you are going to be leading and managing the team. You have to be very involved in what's going on. You're basically the parent to your staff children. Like, they need the adult. And we'll dive further into misconceptions about like growing and scaling a practice later. But first, we want to dive into like the actual progression of a business owner and what that looks like from the ground floor when you start your practice. And by the way, like if your team doesn't have a growth trajectory, like if mommy or daddy isn't there, they're not going to stick around. So even if you're happy with where you're at, your employees need to know that there's room to grow and that you're working to provide that, or like they'll go somewhere else that allows that, or just start their own thing.
Yeah, which is like not what people think of. They think of like I'm gonna have employees and they're gonna be responsible adults. And it really like I have teenage kids, right? It's like literally just like having teenage kids. They can be independent to a point, but you really have to help them with their thought process and decision making, and have meetings and lead them and help to develop them. Right. And if you leave them alone in the clinic for extended periods of time, like you have to realize that
Staff, not children.
yeah, yeah, the staff. Like you have to realize that you are the culture, right? Like you are the culture. You grew it. You know, put yourself in that situation. Like if you're in there grinding and there's no leadership present, like who's in charge of culture? Like the standards can easily start to slip. Somebody maybe not adhering to the dress code, coming in a little bit late, like shortcutting appointments, whatever it might be, right? And we'll see there's a big separation in like the large corporate based insurance clinics, because they have layers and layers of leadership of parents, right, until it gets up to the owner. But also, like, how many of you guys love working in these large corporate clinics, right? Like, oh, this is amazing, I want to spend the rest of my career here. Like, clinicians don't typically love working there.
Yeah. And I mean, you see some big cash PT clinics out there that have a lot of revenue, but their profit margins actually suck. Um, I mean, maybe when the owner isn't highly involved, especially if the owner isn't highly involved because the attention's not there. Like the ones who maintain good profit margins have owners that are constantly busy leading, managing their teams, and being aware of what's going on because you're constantly trimming and pivoting. Like, and even they jump into patient care and have a caseload as needed.
Yeah, like I know clinic owners that own cash clinic owners that like they're in the middle of it, they're in the thick of it, they're doing $1.52 million in revenue, and they have to jump in and have a full caseload, right? Like just
Yeah.
because, uh, and I think it's just a good aside. Like it's a good point to make that don't just base your decisions on what you think about clinic owners or clinics like off of their revenue, because that's what's touted a lot, right? Like revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. Just because a business has a lot of revenue doesn't mean it's profitable. And you should be focused on the profit, because that's what's going to feed the family, right? Like, listen, if you have a business, right, that makes $1 million a year, like the where everybody wants to get, I want a business that makes $1 million a year. But if your expenses are $950,000, like you're not rich or successful, right? Like you might actually just be barely paying yourself. You're going to be super stressed out about bills, payroll. Like it's a pretty shitty place to be. Like I know people that have $1 million businesses that haven't been able to pay themselves for a little bit.
Yeah. So let's look at what the progression is like and what it takes to have a practice that you're not seeing patients in, and where you can have more time freedom by not being tied down to patient visits while still setting your employees up for growth and success. Like, what does that look like? So, where are you spending your time? You're going to start off in the beginning of your business wearing all of the hats. You are marketing, you are sales, you are patient care, discovery calls, you're doing all of the admin stuff, you're doing everything, and you're exhausted. And once you cap out on your time, you have to hire somebody to do your lowest leverage tasks, which means that you're going to unload all of the administrative work first. So those tasks are going to be like scheduling clients, rescheduling, answering emails, taking care of like follow-up communication. And so you unload all of that. But now all of that's off your plate. Now you're managing this person. You're having check-ins and meetings. You're reviewing their work. You're making sure that they're following all of the standard operating procedures. You have to find and give them areas of improvement and feedback. You have to care about them as a human, right? You're making sure that they're upholding the company values, and you're monitoring at a high level when they first come on to make sure that everything is up to the standard that you left it at. And so you fill up more of the time that you get back with a lot of those activities that you're now managing. But now you're also using that time to do more revenue driving activities. So you're also adding in more time for fulfillment, more time for discovery calls, more time for marketing, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, honestly. Like a lot of times people think like, oh, I'm going to hire this person and I'm going to have more free time. Like you shouldn't just hire somebody and then do nothing with that time, right? Like you need to offload the tasks that aren't making you quite as much money, or like whatever you can outsource, right, for less dollars than what you can make, like outsource it. But then you have to fill your time making sure that that shit runs well. And then you have to do more of the shit that's going to make the money, right? That's going to
Yeah.
make more money.
I think
Yeah.
that's a good point, because if you don't then do the thing with the extra time that makes more money, that new hire now becomes an expense instead of an asset.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Like the profit and loss, right, above like everybody's head. You need to make sure that there's profit on the time that you're paying somebody to fill.
Yeah. So then what happens next? Like now you have your admin, you're managing this person. And then what do you do next when now the caseload or the fulfillment on the schedule gets full again? Like you need to then unload more of the things that are less leverage. So you're going to unload the discovery calls next. And most people, most clinic owners would probably tie this into what their admin does, but we actually recommend having a dedicated sales rep to spend all of their time on generating and nurturing leads. So the tasks are, it's going to be purely client acquisition. So you're unloading all of that. You're actually creating room for more of sales activities to take place than had been happening before. But now you're managing the other person and you're managing this person, which is a sales role. And so you're doing call reviews, you're checking their work, you're doing role plays, you're training this person on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, right? Like it has to be an ongoing basis. You don't just train somebody once and be like, you're good, right? Like that's how people fall off. Like you don't go to PT school and you're like, you get trained one time, you're good. It's like, no, there's continual training, there's continual progression. And then you can start to offload like higher level tasks as things go along as well. But you have to be active in reviewing their caseload or their workload, right? And the quality of their work and the conversations they're having and the way they're interacting with people. And again, maintaining the culture around the work that they're doing, right? And then what's next, right? Then you probably hire a clinician. You want to talk about that, Caitlin?
Yeah. So when you hire a clinician, like you are going to still have to maintain a caseload, right? That's the highest leverage activity that you can do right now. But now you're growing the clinic. So you are opening up more slots on the schedule. You're opening it up for more client care. And so you're doing all of this. And now you have the other two people that you're managing. And now you're also managing a clinician. And so the responsibilities that you have over that clinician specifically are clinical mentorship as needed, making sure that they have what they need, making sure that you understand, you know, their professional and personal goals that they want to get to. You're in charge of sales training for them because they're selling something that's high ticket in the cash world. In cash physical therapy, that is a high ticket offer. And so you're teaching them how to present a plan of care. You're doing marketing training with them in case they need to go teach a workshop or do free injury screens. You're making sure that they're following all the systems and procedures of the business so that everything is consistent throughout the entire practice. And then they bring you all of their problems and you're doing one-on-one meetings with them. And it's not bad that they bring you all of their problems. Like you are the leader, you are in that role, and they should. Like you're the person who answers the questions.
Yeah. Again, teenagers, you're the parent, right? You're the leader. Like they're going to have issues. They're going to have problems. They're going to want help with their case. They're going to have something that goes weird. They're going to have a client interaction they know how to deal with. They're going to have time off requests. They're going to have family things. They're going to have their own kids that have shit going on. It's like, it's not just this magical free up of time. And then you get a second clinician and you repeat the process. And you get a third clinician and you repeat the process just over and over and over again. And then like this is where people think they could just kind of walk away, right? Like you can't, right? Like if you get to three clinicians, like you can definitely step back from patient care and maintain healthy profit margins as long as they're all full. But as you bring on more clinicians, like what goes up now? Like you have to make sure that there's more schedules filled, right? So you have to do more marketing. You have to get really good if you're running ads and spend the time looking at that stuff and modifying. And like, is it Google? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Are you doing in-person events? How's the community things going? And you can't expect them to do it all, right? Because if they if they wanted to just do marketing events every weekend, then they would just open their own clinic, right? And I think a lot of people get that wrong too. They're like, oh, I'll just hire a clinician and I'll have them do everything that I'm doing. It's like that's just not the way that it works. Like people want a job, they don't want to like run and grow your business for you.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the biggest things when clinic owners are hiring clinicians is if you're tired of it, they probably don't want to do it either. And so just abdicating that responsibility to them, it just builds up. Like nobody wants to go spend their evenings and weekends all the time going and marketing for the clinic. Every so often is one thing, but then when it's consistently like the way that you generate leads, one, it's extremely time consuming, and two, like the whole thing with local marketing, this is a total aside, is attendance is going to slowly lower over time and your conversions will end up suffering because then now you're just present in those areas all the time and you've probably started to see everybody at the gym already.
Yeah, and if you only have a couple, contacts where you do that, and you do it regularly, it's like then you become a commodity, and they're like, oh, whoever Doc so and so is coming again, like I'm kind of busy. I'll just catch the next one. I know they'll be back in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
And it's just go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and so that brings us back to like abdication versus delegation. If you just give away the tasks that are on your plate and then you never check back in, it's not a good place to be. Like people need the support. You are the leader, you are their support system. And so like to Roger's story, if you just leave and you go travel and you leave somebody treating in the clinic, that's honestly like that's not leadership. The clinic isn't going to grow and you've basically abandoned the culture and you've left people, not you specifically, Roger,
Oh, I definitely did.
but yeah, but that's what happens is you have to rebuild the culture when you come back. Like when you delegate, you're still part of the business. You just have different responsibilities now.
Yeah, and listen, you want to trust in the good of humanity and like the relationship, the personal relationship you have with people. But it's like when you're not there leading and managing and setting the culture, it's like, hey, guess what? People start showing up a little late. Things start slipping. The front desk stuff doesn't get done as good as it does. Like they're sitting up there playing Candy Crush on their phone. Like real stories, right? Like I definitely made plenty of fucking mistakes along the way, and that's why I want to save people all those mistakes, right? Because they're expensive mistakes, and it's not just that. It's about like the structure of the business and how to go about everything. It's like it's crazy, and then people think that you get a couple clinicians, and then it's like okay, cool, like now I don't have to do anything. That's not it, right? Like your time gets taken up with higher level tasks. You have to manage. You have to ensure things go smoothly, and hiring is a bottleneck, right? So if you have three clinicians, they're all bumping and something happens to a clinician, they get hit by a bus, they have a family event, they get injured, wherever they quit, like who sees those patients if everybody's schedules are full? You can't just tell your clinicians like, hey, by the way, now you're going to work a 60-hour week. No, you should be opening your schedule probably and seeing some of those patients. And who knows how long it's going to take to hire. Like that's a bottleneck for a lot of people. Some people can hire pretty quickly sometimes. And then I know clinicians that have been looking to hire for 6 months, right? Like, especially if you're not just trying to hire any Joe Schmo, right? Like you want to make sure that when you're hiring, it's a good culture fit. They fit the values because those are the biggest things. And that might take a little bit of weeding out some of the bad eggs, so to speak, right? Like no one's going to run your clinic like with the intention that you want it run unless you're giving them profit, right? A substantial amount of profit, maybe even some ownership in it at some point. And if you want to keep the lifestyle that you have right now and you're sharing your profits, how much more profit do you need to make now to maintain your lifestyle and do those things, right? So you need to make sure that that person's like growing it to that point successfully without you being involved. And what happens if they decide to just up and do their own thing? We keep 100% of the profit.
Yeah.
Right?
And then to that point, even when you get to that point, because you're scaling with people, you're still reliant on all of the people who are performing the services. And so turnover and hiring is going to be a constant focus of attention between that and then making sure that the schedules stay full. So it does require time and attention. You can't just like completely step away. And that's what we wanted to talk about today is just like singularity of focus. It's key to success. You have to get really good at saying no to things that can make you a lot of money, but are not your primary focus. The main thing needs to always be the main thing, even if the main thing changes.
I think it's a great place to end it. So hopefully you guys found some value in this podcast episode, right? If you did, subscribe, share it, whatever, and we'll see you on the next one.